Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Veramed Stories podcast. I'm your host, Himesh, and in this week's episode, we'll be talking about graduate recruitment. So joining me is Emily Backhurst. Emily, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So why don't we start off, Emily? Why don't you tell us what you do here at Veramed?
So my role is titled commercial manager, but what that really means is that I run the graduate recruitment for Veramed, as well as looking after agency and some support staff recruitment and running all the internal events and kind of social side of Veramed.
Okay, so you do quite a lot then.
Yeah, very broad, bits and pieces.
Yes, exactly. And how long have you worked here for?
So I've worked here over the last 6 years. And in that time, I think we've grown from a support staff kind of area of about 2 people to like 9 on 30 now. So that's why my role has lots of different random things in it.
Right, I see. So it's just evolved over the time. So you mentioned that you're in charge of the graduate recruitment. So how long have you been doing that for?
I got involved really from day one of as soon as I started, because I started in more administration for the recruitment side and admin for the office, and it just kind of happened gradually. I think 4 months after I joined, our first intake started, and so I was involved in more the onboarding for them. And then when we started recruiting for the next year, I kind of just gradually took over and drifted into it, and took it off the head of recruitment because I like doing it. My background is early years recruitment in support staff, so it just came naturally to me to do that. And my passion really is to give people their first chance in their career, and just love watching them grow in their career, and that's never more evident than at Veramed, really.
No, definitely not. And so how's the sort of the graduate recruitment changed over the years? Like how big was the sort of first intake, your first intake, to what it is today?
So our first intake was 6 and our current intake is 24. So quite a big difference. Yeah.
Yes.
We recruit over 3 offices in the UK, and then we recruit in Ukraine as well. This is just the UK one I'm talking about with 24, but we have had an intake in Ukraine this year as well. So in fact, in all told, I think we've had 88 graduates start with us over the since 2017. So since we've started the graduate training program as we know it. So it's been really good. It's changed quite a lot in general. There are less people studying masters in statistics. So when I began, we had lots more stats applications. So there's definitely more, it's more competitive over the last few years with graduates. And I think the type of person we're recruiting has changed a lot. So we were going from recruiting millennials to recruiting Generation Z, which most people think, oh, there's not much difference in that. But actually, Generation Z tend to be really career focused, really environmentally focused, and in tune with picking careers and companies that give something back to the world and do something more. So actually Veramed's quite rewarding and quite just a great company for them, because we do a lot of that stuff basically.
Yeah, exactly. And being B Corp certified as well, I'm sure that attracts a lot of these Gen Zs.
Carbon positive. We tick a lot of the boxes for them. So it's a real draw towards Veramed.
Oh, excellent. And so you mentioned some of the key things that they look for. So what are some of the key things that you look for when you're looking at these sort of applicants?
There is a list on the website of what we generally look for, but I mean, obviously the obvious one is technical ability to do the job, math, statistics, computer science background. And displaying our core values is really important to us: integrity, collaboration, and excellence. That's really key for us in the way they handle themselves and what they've been doing in their life, and demonstrating problem-solving abilities, especially with the programming element of the job, of a statistician or a programmer. That natural curiosity for understanding problems and finding innovative solutions to them is really, really key for us. But more than anything, a motivation to work in medical statistics, because it's not your average industry. We want them to know what it is and be interested in it, and why are they working in it. That motivation is really important to me as a recruiter, really, to find the right people.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah. Would you say there's a certain type of person you look for, or is it just more like you're looking for these sort of qualities, like you said, problem solving and the passion to work in this sort of industry?
I would say no to this, because for me, variety is really important in a company. If you have everyone the same person in the company and everyone with the same abilities and the same type of person, it's just not going to work. You need variety in a company, and Veramed very specifically believes that everyone's an individual,
Yeah.
And everyone has an individual career path at Veramed. Your career path, Himesh, is not going to be the same as the person sitting next to you programming.
No.
So we very much support people in their individual choices and individual career paths, whether they want to be technical, whether they want to project manage, whether they want to go off and be a line manager. So yeah, it's all about people being different and variety. So no, really.
Yeah, no, I completely agree because from my own experiences and even people who I've had on the podcast on this series as well as our new starters perspective is they've all said the same thing. Like they all get treated as an individual, not just another cog in the machine. You get the training that you need to get to like get better, and then your strengths are highlighted, and then you get a nice little career path going forward. So it's something that is very important to Veramed, and something that comes across in our graduate training program as well. So you mentioned earlier that one of the things that have changed over the years is that there's sort of less people doing masters in statistics. So what would you say to anyone unsure whether they would like to do a master's in statistics or unsure whether it would just be a programmer?
I would say have a look at your motivation and look at what motivates you to do a job and what's going to motivate you through your career. We get a lot of people that come to us and they're like, oh, I might have applied in this industry and I've applied for one job in the finance industry and I don't know where I want to work. I think have a look deep down, do you want to help people? Do you want to give something back to the world? And in that case, medical statistics could be for you, because really at the end of the day, you could be working on the next drug to cure a disease or an illness, or working on the next drug to totally change someone's life and, to really help them with their illness. And I think it's a certain type of person that wants to do that and actually physically likes helping people. So we tend to generally get really nice people working in this industry, which is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so definitely look at your motivation, have a think about it. And it is an under-known industry as well. So it is about promoting that at university level and BSc level, so people understand about the industry as well. But yeah, just have a look at your motivations and have a think about it. We do have lots of blogs and podcasts as well to listen to. Do have a look at our blog page as well. There's lots of things about, being a statistician and programmer and understanding more about it to make your decision.
Okay, excellent. And for the people that do want to work in this industry, but unsure whether a master's is the right fit for them now, what do Veramed do for these sort of applicants?
Yeah, we're looking at lots of different ways to help people. Veramed is a very people-oriented company, and because of that, we're a very supportive company. And as I said before about people's pathways, it's their individual pathway. And because of that, we want to support people studying masters. If somebody wants to be a statistician, we want to support them doing that. And we understand that not everyone can go straight from doing a BSc into doing a master's and afford it, especially in this day and times with money. So we do offer people the ability to join as a programmer, to join our graduate scheme, and to become a programmer at Veramed and go down to 4 days a week, and have the ability to have 1 day off a week to be able to study their masters and self-fund that. That's something we can do in year 1, year 2, year 3, anytime they want, really. And it gives them that flexibility. They might be undecided whether they want to be a programmer or statistician, and they might be very much I've fed up with university, I want a break. I want to do a year at Veramed, earn a little bit more money in year 2, and then think about doing my masters. So we get a lot of people going to do their masters and go down to 4 days a week as a programmer, and then they can study remotely 2 days 2 years, and come out as a statistician at the other end. You just transition internally to be a statistician. We do also support people and sponsor people 1 person a year at Veramed to do their masters. So there is an opportunity to apply for sponsorship to get your masters paid for as well.
Okay, excellent. So it sounds like if you're unsure, you can come in as a programmer, do a year in industry, and then make a decision from there. You're not just tied into the role you go, which is good. Because I have recorded a podcast with Liam and Isla, who both have recently completed their part-time masters, and they talk about how beneficial it was to do a year in industry, what then do their masters, because it has so much more context and they could apply the
Yeah.
things they've learned like almost instantly, which is
Mm.
quite rare when you're doing a master. So it's really good that they have we've got that option for them. Obviously, one of the important things for when picking a company is some of the socials. Like, what do we like to do, like outside of work hard, play hard, sort of thing. So you mentioned that you're also in charge of planning the socials. Can you tell our audience some of the socials that we've had in the past?
There's so many.
Yes.
We do love a social at Veramed. Each office actually has a social budget. So they
Okay.
have a social budget, and we have social champions for each office. And we meet together, and myself and Ailish, who supports me as a commercial associate, support them in helping do events and plan events, coming up with ideas. In the last few years, we've done so many different things. Obvious things like, mini golf, bowling, stuff like that, electric go-kart racing, environmentally friendly electric go-kart racing, I'll add.
Yeah.
We've done really random things like pasta making, an opera live from Florence, video game nights. We're really big into our gaming at Veramed, so we do games nights and connect all the boardrooms up, so we can play Switch Mario Kart tournaments, and there's a trophy at the end of it. But we've got loads of other social things like running clubs, craft groups, book clubs, summer picnics. We've done outdoor cinemas, loads of different random things, virtual escape rooms, stuff like that. It's really endless. Yeah, busy on the social side.
I can definitely say, like, because even during the lockdowns and things like
Mm,
that, there was at least a social every couple of weeks or something, like virtual socials, like
yeah.
quizzes and things like that, just keep everyone together and just keep that sort of like company feel. And then since we were back in the offices, we've had lots of like you've mentioned quite a few of them. An axe throwing was a personal favorite of mine, and like the go-karting was great fun. But also last year we had the 10-year anniversary,
Yes.
where we got all the offices all to meet up for a weekend. So what was that like for you, sort of planning the logistics and all of this? Because I can imagine there's a lot going on that weekend.
Yeah, it's the second full kind of weekend away with the company I've organised. It's like organising two weddings, because you're 2 nights there. So it's like organising two weddings, because you've got day activities, evening activities, food options for 120 people. It's a lot to organise.
Yeah.
But we got through it. It's a lot of fun as well, coming up with ideas, coming up with the little secret things that nobody knows about, because you've got to tell people a lot, but there's always these little things that you just don't realize. Like we had these beautiful teepees in the garden on the first night. It was more of a festival feel. And then on the second night, we had a live band, and we had a saxophone player burst into the dining room and,
Yeah.
play saxophone to welcome people onto the dance floor. So there's all these little things that we try to plan to make it special. But it is, yeah, it's a mean
Yeah.
feat. It's a lot of work on top of peak grad recruitment season, but we got there in the end. And yeah, it's a lot of fun to organise. Even if I probably do lose my voice in the process of doing it.
Yeah, I can imagine there's a lot going on for you, but for us, we had a great time. We didn't have to worry about any of that
Okay.
stuff. So we got there, and, had a really nice weekend there. Is there any sort of hints to any socials that are coming up this year?
I don't give away hints, Himesh.
Fair enough. Okay.
I, we try to be really quite secretive about our events so that they're a surprise for people. We've obviously got more. I suppose as we get bigger, it's harder to keep things secret, and we do let people know. So this year already, we've had quite a few events come out. So we've got bouldering in about 2 weeks, or next week, I think. We've got Spanish cooking. So we're doing a paella course and sangria making with live from Spain, because we've got lots of new Spanish starters, home workers in Spain now. So we're trying to integrate things with our European staff colleagues. We might be doing other things like that later in the year. So something around Germany, something around the US.
Yeah, it keeps our home base employees like engaged as well. Like it's not just all going to the pub.
Yeah, I think we might do something for Independence Day, might do something for Oktoberfest, but we will see. But at the moment, we've got like bowling in Swansea coming up, axe throwing in Audley Park, ping pong in Twickenham. That's one that hasn't been coming, it's going to come out in the next few days.
Ooh, exclusive.
And then we've got games night in February, which is again the we do lots of board games in different rooms. There's a poker room, there's a Scrabble room, stuff like that, and then there is the games room where we link all the boardrooms up. So yeah, very exciting year ahead with lots of socials.
Oh, excellent. No, well, thank you very much for giving us a few hints to what's to come. And like from how they all went last year, they're all great fun. And I look forward to seeing what we have this year. Obviously, this year you're not planning another weekend away, which is unfortunate for us. But you're probably quite pleased with that, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, if we did it every year, it would be a mean fee and it would be very expensive.
That's true. That is very true. Right, Emily. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. I felt like we've covered a lot, like in terms of the graduate recruitment and like all the various socials that we have here. And yeah, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join me on this podcast. I hope you had fun.
Thanks so much for having me. Yay.
Excellent. Right. Thank you all very much for listening. If you would like to be notified for any future episodes, please subscribe to us on Spotify, iTunes, or whichever podcast platform you're using. If you'd like to know more about Veramed, please visit our website at veramed.co.uk, or you can find us on LinkedIn. If you have any questions about Veramed, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to help. You can find us on YouTube and Instagram at We Are Veramed. Thank you all very much for listening, and until next time, goodbye.